Alrighty, so lately it's come out Ahsoka is not doing so good in the ratings. It's actually doing very, 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 very poorly in the ratings as Nielsen releases more data. The spin that was put on Ahsoka got 14 million views, whatever that means. It's not a YouTube view, it's something different. If they're dividing minutes by something else and whatever, and they come up with 14 million, who knows, who cares? Let's have a look at what Google says. Now, I'm just going to take myself out of the way here, but you'll still be able to hear me as we have a look at Google Trends, and we'll also have a look at YouTube searches. We're getting to the truth. We're not relying on Nielsen's. We're not relying on Samba. We're not relying on anyone else's data to say someone watched something. If people search for something, they're generally watching something, generally speaking. So let's begin as we have a look at this data. On the left in the green, on this side is the Book of Boba Fett, followed by Obi-Wan in the yellow, Andor in the red, Mando in the purple, and Ahsoka on the right hand side in the blue. As you can see, it peaked up, then it dropped, it came up again, and then it's on a 3-week decline. And at the end of this week, at the end of next week, we'll see if that decline has happened. So with people saying episode 6 was the best, or 5 or 7 or whatever, here we've got it. If they're saying episode 5 was the best, then this is episode 6 and this is episode 7. It's all just going downhill while people are saying an episode is the best. Now remember, a lot of people said Andor was the best Star Wars that Disney has ever put out. Now you can also see Mando's not doing so good here, but I want to do a comparison. Let's have a look at the original Mando so we can start to put some things into better perspective. So we're going to take this year to 2019. So we get to see the first 2 years of Mando in the charts. And what we can see is the first year of Mando was pretty damn good. Second year was even higher. And now it starts to put the third year or third season of Mando in a little bit of perspective. The best it could do in comparison to the best of previous Mando was only 44% of that previous best. Obi-Wan, best it could do was get up to 82% of the best of Mando. Okay, now Boba Fett, well, it only peaked at what it did because The Mandalorian was in it. So just to put that in perspective, the first 2 years of Mando did really, really well. So any spin that comes after that is just that. It is just spin. Now let's go back to the time frame that I had up already. So we've got a more comparative look at what came after Mando and what is considered to be kind of disastrous. Now all of these figures will be in comparison to Obi-Wan. So what we can see here is the best Andor did is 38% of Obi-Wan. The best Ahsoka has done is 47% of Obi-Wan. And the best Mando did was 54, got down to 39, but went up to and also at 50. Now, if we're going to take averages, we can see that the average of Mando is really quite high. Obi-Wan went up and down a couple of times and then just dragged off. Andor average is very low. It went up first, obviously, in the initial thing. This would have been the initial 3 episodes. A lot of people found them too slow and boring, so they just bailed out. So all of the rest of this, they're the hangers-on. They're the ones that got into it, gave it additional chances and additional chances. Now, this is the Google Trends as far as web searching goes. Web searching normally says, I'm interested in this show, I want to find out more. And it's a good correlation. The more web searches people do, the more interest there is in the show. Now we compare that to Google searches and or YouTube searches, and this is very, very interesting. What you find here with the Ahsoka is that it's peaked higher as it's gone on. There's been more YouTube searching for Ahsoka, and it's actually gone a little bit higher. I think, what do we got there? 28 of Obi-Wan and 27. So there's been a peak higher search of Ahsoka than there was of Mando, but people understood what Mando was. As you can see, there's very little searching for Andor, and the peak in searching here for Boba Fett was because the Mandalorian was in those particular episodes that was getting searched on YouTube. This is the YouTube search results, indicating that people are somewhat searching for Ahsoka just to watch videos on the disaster that Ahsoka is, generally speaking, because they're not searching YouTube, they're not searching Google to find out about Ahsoka. They were searching YouTube to find out what was going on with this series. So back to the Google shopping. Look, we can even have a look at news. We can see what sort of news search has been there. These sorts of things are similar. Obi-Wan is still higher. Boba Fett's not so good. Mando's higher. Andor's atrocious. And Ahsoka. So the trend pretty well continues. And when you have a look at the averages here, this is the average over the time frame, and that is not the average over when it peaked. If we had the averages over when it peaked, the averages might be a little bit different. So we'll go back to the Google search. Well, that's Google shopping. Let's go back to the web search. There's no Google shopping. We're not interested in that. Now let's have a comparison about another show that has been in the limelight lately. We're going to remove Andor because it's the lowest one. And we're going to look at One Piece, if I can get it to One Piece TV series. Well, this might, let's just hope it's going to give us an overlay that's similar. Now, as you can see on the One Piece side, here on the red, it's started off, it's had a very good average. Have a look at the average over here. The average over this time period shows more interest than the average for Mando. And as you can see, it's been much higher. And then as the series has been released, there's been a peak in interest in web searching. Now that was for One Piece TV series. Let's see if it's the same for the manga. Sometimes it is. Wow. So this just lets you know how popular it is outside of just the TV series. And that is, it's leaving everything in its dust in comparison. The manga series is leaving Obi-Wan, all of the other things in its dust. Now, if we overlay this back, we're going to do another time comparison so we can see what that looked like with the Mando series. So we're talking about a different series here, which is the One Piece manga series, which has been made into something. And as you can see, while everyone's hooting and hollering about how wonderful Mando is, and it had great viewership, you can see that the manga series has still been extremely popular. And Mando was just lucky to kind of get in that area of popularity a couple of times. And that One Piece popularity, this is the manga series, has been substantially more popular in web searching. We'll check the YouTube search and then we'll go back to the One Piece TV series to see how that relates. And again, the YouTube search makes that even the distance greater. As you can see, Mando doesn't even come close to YouTube searches for the One Piece manga series. Now we'll go to the TV series. Obviously the old Mando is, the TV series didn't rate back then, but still people are interested, people are still looking, and this is the YouTube search that we've seen. So looking at YouTube, people have generally been very often searching for One Piece TV series, and especially now, or more so now. And we'll just shorten that time frame up a bit. We'll just get rid of the Mando, the old Mando, and just have a look at the more recent time, which is the last couple of years. as you can see, the One Piece has gone up, and then there's been a little bit of a drop off as this series has progressed. So as it's dropping off, it's still more popular than Ahsoka, and its series, as a series, it's only kind of like just released sort of thing. So we consider it as comparable. Ahsoka's just released, the One Piece TV series just released, and it's kind of leaving Ahsoka in its dust. And as you've just seen, overall interest in the One Piece manga, YouTube searching just leaves all of the Star Wars stuff for dead.